Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Today's webinar on AP automation in NetSuite. My name is Amanda Soto. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at 79 Consulting. I'm the main point of contact for product demos, sales, customer-facing questions, and the occasional webinar. Throughout this webinar, we'll be walking you through a live demo in NetSuite, but we'll be using a NetSuite test account, so it may be a bit slower than what you're used to, so please be patient with us. We also have a chat feature here where you can ask questions during this webinar. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to go over a few things. First, if you have any questions, please feel free to add them in the chat box. We have a special member of our team answering all your questions in real time. Secondly, we'll be asking a few poll questions throughout this time. Your response is greatly appreciated and it will help shape these webinars. Lastly, I'd like to share a little bit of background information on 79 Consulting, which is a sister company to Tvarana. 79 Consulting was created as a way to simplify our name to our clients. Many found it difficult to accurately pronounce Tvarana. Our name was a bit of a tongue twister, so we came up with a new name for ease of use. Hence, this may be the first time you're hearing about 79 Consulting. As a company, we were founded in 2007 as a Salesforce and NetSuite consulting firm. In 2008, we became a NetSuite solution provider. And in 2014, we created our first suite app, SkyDoc, which is a storage solution for NetSuite. We now have over 8 apps in SuiteApp.com and continue to provide support, managed services, integration services for NetSuite and Salesforce clients. Now let me introduce today's speaker, Athra Nair. Athra is our NetSuite technical architect actively involved in product development and our Suite Commerce team. With over 8 years of product experience on NetSuite and more on the business side, she uniquely qualified to assist our clients with solving their most challenging business processes. Let's give a warm welcome to Athra.
Hi, everyone.
Before we get started, I'd like to just do a quick background on what we'll be discussing today. So vendor statement management is a tedious process relying on paper and manual effort and requiring control over every aspect of invoice processing, approval workflow, and payment processing. And paper and manual handling can also slow down the purchase order process. An invoice management platform helps reduce time and cost considerably. AP automation simplifies the entire purchase to pay cycle for easier purchasing and faster invoice processing. PortalsPro is built on NetSuite platform and relies on native NetSuite workflows to automate the entire vendor processing, invoicing process that would have been previously handled by an accounts payable team. In this webinar, you will learn about Tvarana's vendor portal in NetSuite, PortalsPro, and see how easy it is to manage vendors by using this portal. Athra, does NetSuite have a vendor portal and how does it work?
Yes, NetSuite does come with a vendor portal that vendors can be provisioned access to, but the UI is rather archaic and the functionality is quite limited. I haven't really seen many companies adopt it, and I've always felt like there could be a better solution. Because in this day and age, I don't think that many companies would want to use a portal that's not mobile friendly and customizable. So considering this gap, we built a vendor portal on the NetSuite platform that can be used by all NetSuite clients. It's simple to assign vendors access to the portal, it's secure, and it has a very intuitive and interactive interface. I'll demo some of the key features of the portal in the next half hour. Let's start at the beginning. I'll show you how to perform an initial one-time setup of the portal and give a vendor access to it. So I'll be sharing my screen right now. Amanda, let me know when you can see it. Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
Let's go to setup, company, general preferences. Oops. And then go to custom preferences. And you can see that there's a vendor portal section right here. Right now, let's talk about the most important feature, which is vendor onboarding. Now, depending on your organization size, you may or may not have a vendor onboarding process. I've seen companies have onboarding processes that range from very simple to very complex. And if you do have a vendor onboarding process, it's very important to take all of your vendors through it, make sure that they answer all of the questions that you have, and submit all of the documentation that you need, because it helps in validating this vendor. And if the vendor onboarding feature is turned on, then vendors only get limited access to the portal, just enough to complete the onboarding until you have approved them. If it's turned off, then any vendor that you give access to will immediately get access to the full portal. So I'm going to leave it on for the purpose of this demo. The next is the default expense account. If your vendors don't have an expense account specified on the record, then this is the account that all bills will be coded to. So it's a default override preference. The procurement team member is the designated member of the team who will take care of all of the onboarding. The portal email author is the email from which all emails are sent for the vendor portal. Now, OCR, on or off, OCR stands for optical character recognition. I'm going to leave it on, but I will go into that in detail a little bit later. So let's try and onboard a vendor right now. I've created a vendor called Teamwork for the purposes of this demo. So I'm going to take you there and onboard this vendor. So as you can see, there's a vendor portal external access checkbox. This is the one that is a master checkbox to control whether someone has access to the portal or not. I'm going to check that. If you want the vendor to receive a notification email that they've been given access to the portal, check this checkbox and set a password. It looks like plain text right now, but once it's saved, it gets scrambled and hidden. And that's about it. I'm going to save. And I would also now like to take you through what the vendor sees on the vendor portal. So remember, this vendor has not been onboarded yet, right? So when they log in, they see the vendor onboarding tab, and they also see the upload documents tab. So let's fill in some details here. It's automatically filled in, and the vendor can choose to either submit their onboarding request or save it for later. I'm going to submit it. And there's also the Upload Documents tab. Now, the Upload Documents tab uses SkyDoc, which is our storage solution. It's a suite app. It uses Amazon's AWS to store documents, and it also integrates very seamlessly with NetSuite. If you would like more information about SkyDoc, please get in touch with Amanda. But for now, I am going to upload a response to the questionnaire right here. And when this is uploaded, it gets stored in Amazon AWS, and your team members will be able to view it just as it is stored in File Cabinet. So now let's see what the administrator or the procurement team member sees. So they see this vendor onboarding record that has been submitted. So we can go and take a look at it right now. Review all of the details that they have provided, and if everything looks okay, then I click on Approve. And as you can see, the onboarding approved checkbox has been checked now. So that's it, your vendor has been onboarded.
Author, based on what I've seen, I'm guessing there's a vendor management piece to this.
Yes, Amanda. We built Portals Pro as a very interactive portal. It provides a very high level of transparency to vendors who can use the portal to review all of their transactions and also to understand what the status of their transactions are. Very often, vendors are in the dark about the status of their bills and payments, and it leads to a lot of back and forth communication that takes up a lot of your payables team's time. Remember, vendors are a very important part of a company's success and growth. So it'll help us keep the relationship smooth if vendors can use a self-service portal and view all information relevant to them. So now that we've onboarded the Teamwork vendor, I'm going to show you exactly what they see. So I'll share my screen again. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, out there we can see it.
Great. So the next time the vendor logs in, they see a lot more information because they've been approved, right? So this is the profile. You can set a photo for your vendor. They see a summary of everything that is the transaction history that they've had with the company. So the total number of purchase orders, the total PO amount, the amount that they have received from the company so far, and the total amount that they are due right now. I'm going to take you briefly through all of these tabs. The purchase order list, of course, shows all of the purchase orders that are in NetSuite for this vendor. You can click on the file to download a PDF. The PDF uses the template that is set on the custom form of the transaction. Now, it looks a little bare bones right now, but it is extendable and we can change it if needed, right? So this is what the PDF will look like. If there are any item receipts against this vendor in NetSuite, they are pulled up and shown here. Same with the vendor bill. There are a bunch of bills open and it shows if a bill has been approved, if it has been paid, or if it is still pending approval. Very important information for the vendor. And also the vendor payments list. So if in NetSuite payments have been made, have been entered, then it shows the payment amount that has been entered and when it was created, and they can download a file here. Now, this vendor doesn't really have a return authorization list, but if there is one, then it shows up here. And also the vendor credits, any vendor credits that are entered in NetSuite are shown. So as you can see, it's broken down into most transactions that you can have with the vendor, and it shows exactly what kind of information the vendor can look at for themselves.
Arthur, it looks like a good solution. Can vendors submit bills using the portal?
Yes, vendors can either scan their bills into the portal using our built-in OCR capability, or they can manually enter these bills. If OCR is used, then vendors can review the details of the scanned document, and they can correct any errors if necessary before they submit the bill. They can also submit multiple bills at a time, which is a really great feature. We use industry best OCR tools that use machine learning to read data from scanned bills. So let me take you through what that process looks like. All right, so you see the Upload Vendor Bills tab here. If you go to it, you see two upload types, OCR or manual. We're going to do OCR right now, and you can upload a file here. So again, this uses SkyDoc. I'm going to upload this bill right here. And when the vendor does this, it is sent to the OCR tool that scans the whole document, and it sends NetSuite the data that it has extracted from the document. Typically, it takes a few minutes, and the vendor who uploaded it will be notified by email when the document is ready for processing. So for the sake of time, I uploaded a few earlier. So this is what it looks like once the document is scanned. at this point, the vendor bill has not been entered in NetSuite. It's just a staging area, so the vendor can manually look at it and change anything that's needed. Now, if you see, there's an OCR accuracy column. It's 95 for the bill that we submitted. 95 is a really good score. So it's very likely that all of the data is right. When the document is a little harder to read, the accuracy score goes down. So it's 64 for these two, right? So I'm going to open the one that we uploaded. And it says that the billable is no. I want to change it to yes. So I can go and change it here, right? And I can update it. And then I'm going to submit it. So if you see, it shows that there is a duplicate, a potential duplicate for this bill, because I have used this bill for testing many times, but this is a good feature. It looks at bills and tags them as potential duplicates, so your vendor doesn't upload them again and again. Right now, I'm just going to say OK. And when I click on OK, the bill gets submitted in NetSuite as a vendor bill. So we're going to go and look at it as soon as this is submitted. All right, the vendor bill has been posted and it should be pending approval. There it is. Oh, sorry, it's on page 2. There it is, 634.86. Now, say your vendor doesn't have a bill to scan. Doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it does. Then they can enter it manually, right? 3445. I'm going to set a customer. The expense account is whatever is coded on the vendor. If the vendor doesn't have one, then it defaults to the expense account that I showed you at the beginning of the demo. The currency associated with the vendor is USD. Invoice date is yesterday. Let's say. When I click on submit, it doesn't go to a staging area. It just gets posted as a vendor bill since there's nothing to scan. So let's go look at the vendor bill list. It should be on page 2. There it is, 3445. It's been created. So that is the process of entering vendor bills, Ananda.
Thanks, Athara. All right, Athara, how does the bill get saved inside NetSuite?
As part of the setup, vendors are coded to an expense account, and all of those vendors' bills are coded to that particular expense account.
Okay, thanks. So then what happens if there's multiple lines on the vendor bill?
As part of the setup, you can choose to either have them as separate lines or a single line.
Got it. Okay, so Athara, a lot of NetSuite clients have elaborate approval workflows created. How will that affect the vendor portal and bill entry?
So we've considered this as part of the design. All of the workflows that you have in NetSuite will stay as they are. Nothing will be affected. Think of the vendor portal as an extra step before the actual creation of the vendor bill.
Okay, thanks, Athara. So lots of people are asking about bill matching. How does bill matching work?
Well, that's a great question. Currently, we only process non-inventory vendor bills. So bill matching will work exactly as it is currently set up in NetSuite. There's not going to be any change to it.
Okay, so Athara, it looks like it's a good contactless remote solution for vendors. What happens if vendors have questions or need additional communication?
We built an entire conflict resolution module as part of the portal. So vendors can create cases, follow up with your AP team, chat with them. Let me show you what that looks like. So if you click on the help desk tab, you'll be taken to the screen where you can see that there is an issue submission form. So select
Author, just to interrupt you,
Oh, I'm
we're not
sorry.
on your screen.
I'm sorry.
We don't see your screen.
I thought I was sharing. Apologies. How about now? All right. So the help
Now we
desk
see it.
tab is right here, and this is the screen. So select an issue type. Right now it's placeholder types, but you can change it as needed. In NetSuite, it's a custom list. So let's say type 1 and issue type 3. Now, say your issues are, follow up about delays in payments or requests for documentation. You may have different team members who deal with different types of issues. So we've given the ability to configure that as well. So if you go to conflict resolution config, I am authorized to deal with issue types 1 and 2, and so are Akshara and Shravanti. So if you have a team dealing with particular types of issues, feel free to issue multiple people. If you want just one employee dealing with all kinds of issues, if you look at Akshara, she deals with all 4 types of issues. So these are the employees who will be notified when there is an issue of the type they're assigned to. So I want payment to be made quickly for the invoice that I just submitted. So I create an issue here, right? And I can see my issue that I have created right here. And what does the employee see? Let's look at that. If we go to vendor portal, vendor conflict resolution, and there it is. Please expedite payment for invoice 11036. And I look at the bill and I find that I don't have the receipts that I need. So I can open a chat and tell the vendor, please provide receipts for the bill you need. And I can send this communication right here via chat. And when the vendor logs in, again, they see that there's an open chat available. So they look at it and they think, oh, yeah, I need to provide my receipts. They upload the receipts using the Upload Documents tab and say receipts loaded. And that's it. The procurement team member sees the message, they can close the issue and make the payment accordingly. So at this point of time, when everybody's working from home, this is a great solution because it can reach your payables team and the vendor at any point of time. It doesn't need someone to pick up a phone, dial an extension. Easy and contactless, like Amanda said.
Hey, thanks, author. Can vendors generate a statement from the vendor portal?
Yes, NetSuite doesn't really support vendor statements, but we have a vendor statement app on suiteapp.com. So we took that and we integrated it right here into the portal. So vendors can review all of their transactions. They can download their own statements for reconciliation. Let me show you how that works. So go to the vendor statements tab. There are several filters that are available. If they want to include zero balance transactions, if they want to show open transactions only, exclude aging balance. Let's say I want to pull everything from last year, the statements for last year in currency. The due amount isn't editable. It's just, what is owed. So if I print it, this is how it shows, right? So they can, if they have queries about any of these transactions, they can go in and into one of the tabs that I showed you, and they can look at each one and download PDF statements. And that's about it. That's the end of my demo.
Thanks for demoing everything for us, Athra. So at this point, we're going to do a Q&A session. I do see some questions already populating. If you do have any, please populate them in our chat feature. Athra, so I have a few questions already here. Someone's asking, can I assign more than one expense account to a vendor?
No, just one expense account.
Okay. And then someone also asked, what does the billable checkbox do?
It marks a vendor bill as billable. So you can, if it's a consulting company and you need to bill your clients for time that a consultant spent, you can mark that as billable.
And I'd like to give a big thanks to everyone who's joined the webinar today. Here's my contact information along with Athra's. You can please feel free to reach out to any of us along with any of our team members. We have team members all over the world to help facilitate your needs.